What is going on, people? We are live, yo. First live that I've done in as many days, many weeks. Let's go. Let's go. Big drama happening in the world of finance. Let's go over here. US debt, check. Chairman Powell, check. Tariffs. Hope you're all doing well, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Been a busy day for me, man. My day started at 5 in the morning and still going strong, heading towards midnight. I hope your day has been as productive as my day. Let's talk crypto. Let's talk about the impending change that is going to send a seismic waves, shock waves in both crypto and the stock market. Trump versus Powell. We're going to talk about the impact of that change, and it's likely to send the markets wild. It is absolutely likely to send the markets wild. Therefore, preparing at this moment in time is the only thing you can do while the macro plays. Most of us would hope that this continues a little bit because it is really an amazing opportunity to really stack up your bags. And I want to talk about Tau as well today. There was an amazing conversation between Barry Silbert and Raoul Pal. And the result is today, Tau is up 10% today. And the reason for that is because it is absolutely the Bitcoin of AI. And this stuff will shock you, obviously. Big up the caveman in the building. I can see Steve from Yorkshire, my brother, and Salah to Kingsley. Of course, hope you're all doing well. There's 19 of us locked in. So we'll get on with the show. We get on with the show. There's an amazing, amazing opportunity in front of our eyes right now, despite what we look at on a day-to-day basis. Now, for most of us, you kind of feel like you want to, at this point in time, your bags are fully settled and you are ready to go, because the odds of us having a record-breaking bull market are very, very real. And despite whatever we see in the market, globally right now, the Chinese M2 has gone off the charts. It has absolutely gone off the Richter scale. So China is printing heavy. The US is about to break 21.7 trillion in the M2. And of course, globally, we are sitting at over 140 trillion. Actually, no, way over that. We are going into max printing globally. So global economies are printing. And if you look at where Bitcoin is today, if I just hover over here, this is where Bitcoin is. And of course, M2 is all the way up here, guys. And what's unbelievable is the way this blue line, which is the M2 money supply, dictates the movement of Bitcoin. It will predict as accurately as you could get on Bitcoin. So I guess the story that I've talked about today and I've talked about previously is this story here. And let's have a look. Let's listen to some economists. Sorry, guys. I hear there's no sound. Do let me know if there is no sound, and I will try. Let's have a look. Audio. Do. Yeah, no jazz in the background. Don't worry, that's coming up in the bull market. So, sir, hope you're well, bro. Cave said there's no sound on this audio here. I do believe, guys, do let me know. Yeah, Cave, if there's no sound here, let me see why that is the case. Let's go settings here. I guess, yeah, you probably can't hear that sound in the background. But basically, what he's talking about is the replacement of wildlife. Guys, is there anyone else who can't hear sound on this of what I'm playing over here? If you can't, do let me know so I can keep it moving, please. I can let me read any economist. Basically, what he's saying is, I mean, I'll put the subtitles there for you, but it is a shame if you can't hear. No sound of the video. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Patriot. So all of you. I have no idea why. Let me just see if this is. Technical. Yeah, I do need the sound anyway. Guys, I hope you're all doing well, man. This is an important week for us. Important week ahead of us. Like Sosa said, a lot of people are, substantially down from their initial investments, and I think this is going to be at least in the next 4 weeks, anyway, until the start of May. We should be able to have enough opportunities to buy crypto, because the next move is quite imminent, in my opinion. Let's see, sound. Maybe it's the way I'm sharing it. Yeah, let's see. Let's remove this bad boy. Anyway, let's remove them, and I will try and re-add the sound. Let's present. Video. Screen share. I'll attempt it one last time. If you can't hear it, do let me know.
Want your reaction to this headline here from the president in the last hour. So out on Truth Social media platform, the president's following maybe some of the ECB commentary this morning, expectations that they'll reduce interest rates, and complaining, why isn't the Federal Reserve doing the same thing? And he ends this post with this line here, Mohammed: Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. Now, the debate we've had around the table is, how do you interpret that line? Is that someone waiting for the expiration of a term that takes place in May of next year, or someone who's thinking about doing things sooner?
I can see Steve saying, yeah, thank you for that. Powell will be here, Caveman said. And I do agree with you, but what is the impact? What are we looking for? I mean, what happens to the markets? And I think this is where ultimately you can't have a failed economy, because let's be fair, the tariffs and all of this stuff, it does have other unintended consequences. And in my opinion, this is, spot on. I don't think Powell is going to last. And there is a degree of question when it comes to the independence of the Fed, but they were never independent anyway, right? Let's continue.
So only President Trump knows what that means, but it should come as no surprise. We know that President Trump has been frustrated at the absence of interest rate cuts. I suspect he got very angry when he heard Chair Powell yesterday. Chair Powell really put all the blame on tariffs, gave no possibility to the better outcome, zero, give it zero possibility. And then there's one thing you have to remember. I know that the conventional wisdom is that this is an attack on the independence of the Fed. There is another way of looking at this, which is this Fed has sacrificed people in the past. If you remember, the president of the Dallas Fed, the president of the Boston Fed, the vice chair were sacrificed ahead of Congress looking into allegations of insider trading. If you remember, the potential side was sacrificed to protect the monetary policy side. And it wouldn't surprise me if President Trump is pushing on this, because there's a real question for Chair Powell. Should he step down to preserve the independence of the Fed? Because otherwise, the Fed will be the subject of a lot of attacks going forward.
If he did step down, would that call into question even more the independence of the Federal Reserve? What's the optimal outcome here?
So this is a judgment that has to be made, and has to be made by Chair Powell. There are credible candidates. Kevin Walsh, for example. The markets would be very comfortable with Kevin Walsh as the Fed chair. He has tremendous experience. He understands the markets. He understands economics. He has expertise. So, I could see a scenario in which what Secretary Bassett said before the election plays out, where they pre-announce Kevin as the next chair. And then that puts tremendous pressure. And then Chair Powell has to make a very difficult decision. Let's
say that happens. And I know that's not your base case right now. You can tell us if it is, but it hasn't been before. Let's say it happens, though. How do you think the market would respond to that?
So I think the market would look at Kevin Walsh and think he's a very credible Fed chair. And I think the market would rather have a credible Fed chair that's not in continuous conflict with the White House than being in continuous conflict with the White House. The Harvard example is an illustration of what can happen. You can suddenly have all sorts of other things questioned about the Fed if it's in direct conflict with the White House.
Isn't this conversation alone putting in question the independence of the Fed? You're talking about scenarios where we could basically get around the White House to placate the president.
But we've seen that scenarios where they've gone around the Congress to placate the Congress. We've seen a situation where in the beginning they sacrificed the potential side. Michael Barr was the vice chair, and he stepped down. So I don't think this is much a structural break, but I do think there's a very delicate judgment, Anne-Marie, here, very delicate. And I'm glad I don't have to make it.
Well, it almost sounds like you agree with the president in this sense. His termination cannot come fast enough, meaning when Powell's out of the job, it cannot be soon enough. It sounds like you agree with that.
So the word termination is a very strong word, right? That word, I must say, I looked at it and I thought, wow, that's a really strong word. But we do know that in a year's time, Chair Powell will step down. We know that. We know that he's not going for a third term. We know he's not going to get a third term. So, that issue is out there. We also know the president is really frustrated about interest rates not being cut. And I go back, yesterday's comments by Chair Powell, which he went well beyond what he's said in the past, were like a red rag to the White House.
Right. So there you have it. This is expected, and the chances are it will happen. And I think it's very interesting to see the market already anticipating. And there are strong rumors that this has been now happening for months. Okay. So this is the kicker that the markets need in order to absolutely go ballistic. And we can't obviously accumulate enough. And Trump has obviously for months privately discussed firing Powell. And of course, he hasn't made that decision yet, but it doesn't actually matter. What matters to the markets are forward looking. If you strip down all the noise, the ultimate question for most of us here is, will we get a friggin' one last pump before ultimately the world goes into a crazy recession, possibly 2027. So I do believe this is a pivotal moment for most of us here, because we've been fighting the last 4 months, 3 to 4 months, really top signal coming as the, just before the inauguration. We knew that was the case, but we just never acted. And I think the whole entire market, or globally, nobody was prepared for the tremendous impact of the tariffs in terms of where we invest. So that's an interesting one, guys. I'm going to keep coming with that story. There is other things happening. And today you would see one of the biggest bubbles in the top 100 is Bittensor Tau. And you might be thinking, what's going on? Market, Casper here, 1%, big caps, ICP 1%, IMX 6%. But overall, it's between that 1 to about 6% on average. Tau was up significantly today. And I've got something for you. So first of all, if you don't know Barry Silbert, okay, Grayscale Bitcoin, amongst many other things, but he had a very good sit down with Royal Powell. And he talked about literally Tau giving him the Bitcoin vibes. And one of the reasons why they invested in that, I thought this was quite a good exchange. So just check this out. There is a project backed by Barry Silbert, a microcap that I posted at $4 million, and that is Sturdy Finance. But in no particular way, like the big layer one here is getting a lot of attraction. So check this out with me, guys. Let me just share this. This was a fascinating discussion. I did post this in our group, but
had any clue that was going to happen.
And the other one it reminded me of, as I've mentioned this many times in the past, is 3 hours reminded me so much of long-term capital when I was a sales.
So in this particular discussion, obviously they talk about Bitcoin amongst other things, but they move into decentralized AI. Now, I've been saying this forever, like Tau is beyond a multi-cycle blue chip, right? But the subnets are basically as degen as they get, but there are collective, what I consider collective, so if you're in a Tau subnet, basically the entire other 80 projects in the subnet also benefit if one project does well. And that's quite unique. But I just want to keep this short for you guys.
Salesman at Goldman, they were everybody's largest customer and nobody realized it. Of every desk, the equity derivative desk, the fixed income desk, the swaps desk, that everybody. And then I mean, don't forget the Fed had to cut rates and essentially bail out all the prime brokers in exactly the same way, but there was nobody to bail out Genesis except your own balance sheet.
Yes.
And then you get the second hit from the whole thing.
Yes. So we're happy that chapter is behind us.
Yeah, what was it
normalizing?
Like? What was it like to go through it? Because it's
for the space. I was surprised that there was such kind of vitriol, kind of pointed in mine in our direction. Getting a lot of death threats during this for something that I had nothing to do with was surprising. Two, I was surprised at how just so happened.
Using the right weight matters. The body pod lets you easily understand what is the fastest way to reach your.
That folks on my team were introduced to a couple individuals who had written a white paper about something called Bittensor in 2021 that they got excited about. And I started looking at the intersection of crypto and AI. And I think a lot of the early applications were kind of using crypto as like a payment kind of solution for AI, less so kind of building, infrastructure to build AI on top of. So I started, I started looking across the whole decentralized AI space. I started digging in on Bittensor, and I very quickly came to the conclusion that from a theme or era perspective, this was the next big era for crypto. You had the Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you had NFTs, and you had like layer 2s and DeFi. I think this is the next big investment theme for crypto. And there's a number of projects that have launched. We've backed a number of them, but the one that over the past year and a half that it's reached escape velocity is Bittensor. And so I decided last year we're going to do with Bittensor, try to do with Bittensor what we did with Bitcoin. We are going to invest in it. We're going to build on it. We're going to help educate, create awareness, create access. And we launched a new business in the fall last year called Yuma that I'm putting my jersey back on, and I'm the CEO of Yuma. I'm still running DCG, but I'm back in the game. And I'm now building this business, Yuma, that's focusing exclusively on this thing, Bittensor.
So talk to me about Bittensor first. What is the, I think the guys have been on Real Vision already, but just give people the overview, and then
was the Internet of Information. Bittensor is building the World Wide Web, the world's global intelligence to solve that problem. And the incentive is this crypto token. So the way that I have described it to non-crypto people that I think is the easiest to understand is the way that the internet and the World Wide Web was the Internet of Information. Bittensor is building the World Wide Web of intelligence. And so the way that Bittensor works is anybody can launch what's called a subnet on top of Bittensor. And these are specific problems that are trying to be solved by harnessing the global intelligence. And so it could be compute, it could be inference, it could be data, it could be training, pre-training. It could be there's subnets that have been launched to predict the price of Bitcoin, to predict sports scores, and so in the way that 30 years ago with the internet, when the browser was launched, and it created this Cambrian explosion of websites. Before that, you would access the internet via Prodigy and America Online, kind of akin to today's OpenAI and Claude. Bittensor is ushering in the whole new era of openness and permissionless innovation, and it's exploding right now.
And so, who are the kind of people who are on these subnets and on the network itself? Are there people who are providing data and they're monetizing that, monetizing their compute? How do people hear about it, and what is it attracting as an ecosystem?
Well, so you had asked the question, kind of what got me excited about it, and a number of things got me excited about it. One is it's such a refreshing change to be surrounded by people who are mission-driven, ambitious, who are trying to solve the world's problems. And crypto is a mechanism to do it, but it's not all about crypto. It's not about it's not just about number go up. It's about, okay, how do we address these problems that can only be solved for by incentivizing the world to help you kind of solve these problems? And so when I met the founders, the writers of this white paper, I, like everybody, was inspired by them. That's number one. Two is Bittensor was launched. It was a fair launch. It's just like Bitcoin. It was a white paper that was then turned into code that then launched. So there was no VC round. There were no allocations to foundations or team members. So everybody that is in Bittensor right now got there by being genuinely interested in the technology and buying or earning Tau, the token. So you have this organic community that is formed, that is mission driven, that is ambitious, that has kind of earned their way into having a seat at the table. And by the way, it has the same token economics as Bitcoin. So it's got 21 million cap. It's got the same halving concept as Bitcoin. So it's very, very easy to understand. And what has happened over the past few months has been called an upgrade of Bittensor, where the subnets that we just talked about, each one of those subnets actually now have a token. And so people can now.
So that's sort of like layer twos.
It is, but it's not in a very important way. The distinction is every single subnet token is traded in and out of Tau. So your functional currency, your denominated currency for all these subnet tokens is Tau. So as people are trying to speculate as to which of the subnets they think are generating the most valuable intelligence, when they buy the subnet token, they're essentially indirectly buying Tau, because it's traded out of liquidity pools. So there's 88 subnets right now, and the one's launching every 2 days. So you have this community of builders, 88 different teams for the most part, who are trying to solve a problem, but they're all like joined arm in arm, because at the end of the day, if they can drive utility of Bittensor and Tau, if they can attract capital into their subnet token, it just flows into Tau. So it's two subnets may be doing the exact same thing, and one of them may just kick ass. If that subnet can bring in hundreds of millions of dollars into the Bittensor ecosystem, and that subnet token skyrockets in value, that other subnet, their token in US dollar terms is going to go up as well because of the success of those subnets. And so it's a very collaborative community, and I'm unaware of any other project in crypto that has the same dynamic. Because if you think about like any tokens that launch on Ethereum or Solana, essentially no value accrues to Ethereum and Solana. I mean, you have transaction fees, but ultimately those teams are all about, okay, I want to create value for my own token. They don't really care ultimately whether or not Ethereum or Solana is successful.
No, it's closer to NFTs, which are priced in ETH.
Right.
Let's say
that would be the closest analog. Exactly.
And it's early stage. What kind of people are in the ecosystem? Is it all kind of wide-eyed, super smart crazies where things normally start with? These people are like, oh wow, I've discovered this new. Who's in it, and what are they? You know, I know it's relatively broad and deep, but give me an idea of how big this ecosystem is, and what kind of people are involved.
For Bitcoin OGs, we are circa 2012, 2013 right now.
Yeah.
And look, if the price is any indication of kind of where it is, the price of Tau is like $200 right now.
Yeah.
So if you kind of look at like in the history of Bitcoin,
what's the market cap?
It's 1.5 billion or so.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so you have, in the same way that the early pioneers in Bitcoin were more kind of libertarian leaning, which some people would call me and them crazy, but you know, that was a philosophy. In Bittensor, it's really more AI crazies.
Yeah.
And
I met, and they're very technical people, and they're all different backgrounds.
But legitimate backgrounds, like legit. And so that's inspiring. So you spend time with individuals that are building the subnets, and then what's happened really over the past couple of months is there's a real explosion of the infrastructure that's being built to make either the intelligence that's getting spit out of these subnets accessible or monetizable. There's an explosion in the applications that are being built for people to discover subnets and to invest in subnets, to track subnets. And it's as we're kind of going through this market correction right now, there's this
or both.
This mouse backpack.
Anyway, guys, you do get the point, and I guess what he's referring to is if you can't grab the layer one, or you know, of course, Tau, and it's not 1.7 billion like he said, or 1.5 billion, it's 2.3 billion. But I guess the real value here is what's going on here in the subnets. Okay, so the subnets, if you look at the token prices, if you look at the projects, and you know, just spend some time in learning how this works. I've done a couple of videos on this. I will do another one. So for example, this is a project called Targon. It has a volume of 3.55 million and a $34 million market cap. So there are tons of projects with real world use applications on the Tau subnet. And ultimately, if we were to come back today, if this was a full bear market, we were to return, you know, I guess Tau would be one of those projects. But there are projects under $1 million that have real world applications. Like he said, you know, they doing for example, sports feeds. Tau provides the oracles for, I believe, the S&P. So it's going to be an interesting ecosystem. Like Cave said, let me one BTC to to go buy to go and buy some Tau. That is funny, man. Hassan in the building as well. Big up yourself, bro. Couple of comments here. Powell spoke like he didn't care about the stock market yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. I tend to agree with that. Economy looks strong despite all the economic strain. It doesn't look good. It did feel like there was an agenda, to be fair. And I do believe that some of those, ultimately, Trump's going to get his Fed guy, right? Now, in other news this week, we've seen, a lot of scams, if we call it that. And the shocking one for me was Reploy AI. And one of our brothers left a comment for me to say that they are responding, and they've announced a partnership, would you believe it, with NVIDIA. Okay, so it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know where these teams, right? Like, I don't know where their head is at. But no particular fund was addressed except real partnerships with the industry giant that is NVIDIA. Of course, we had the Mantra situation as well. That was also a real dog shit. And then, of course, there's one for Caveman. Caveman, let me play this for you, man. I've got your favorite person here. Let's continue with that economic thing.
I really want to make a pitch here for a second about the importance of Powell staying in his job. Look,
and it's unusual coming from you. You're very critical of him.
I have tangled with him on a regular basis about both regulations and interest rates. But understand this. If Chairman Powell can be fired by the President of the United States, it will crash the markets in the United States. The infrastructure.
Now, take that with a pinch of salt, okay? So this is the insanity. If Powell is sacked, the markets will crash, right? It's insane. I mean, that's not going to happen. There's a chance. Of course, you can never say never, but the argument doesn't sit well with me on the fact that if he changes the chairman, then this is going to be plain sailing for or the economy is going to crash or whatever. But one thing that America has is a massive job on its hands when it comes to this manufacturing situation with China. I don't think this is going to be a game that you can actually switch in a very short space of time. Can never happen. Developed economies don't do this. These people eat salad. They don't grow the lettuce, right? It's just a fact of life. So if it's meant to put us back in a situation where right now this guy loses his job and the new guy comes in, and people are saying, oh, the new guy's gonna, the markets are gonna react really badly. I mean, like this comment here from bro, it could, this is ultimately what it comes down to, right? No care in the world. I think, the man has served us well. So, guys, with all of that, let's talk about crypto now. Okay. Let's talk about the markets. As of late, Cubic has been absolutely running. Another very strong performance. I think Cubic have actually got themselves a very good run. Still only 1,200 per billion. That doesn't obviously look like it's running now based on the entire thing, but it is actually running. Okay, so these guys have done really well throughout this bear market. mini bear market that we've just had. Still only $143 million, but they've proven to be a very good builders, very, very good builders, very good communicators. And of course, the updates keep on coming. Now, Cubic, for most people, had one of the longest downtrends in recent memory. Having said that, the announcements, the token burns, a lot of the things that they're doing, their team in Madrid are pretty good. So well done to Cubic. Of course, a dip below $1,000 per billion was probably the best time to get involved with this one, but it's still relatively cheap. I believe under $2,000 is not bad at all. But could we get a last dip? Potentially, we may see that, but I listen. If you DCA anyway, you're not going to have too much headaches when it comes to what to buy. So I think Cubic has done well out of this bear market. Of course, we've been focusing on blue chips. I wanted to quickly talk about one of my favorite layer ones. So what's ever happened to this, guys? I don't know if anyone has ever bought one or whatever, but deliveries are coming for this X1. And even more importantly, the SUI price is at the moment kind of ranging between that $2 support to about $2.30. So it's kind of like, could we get a last dip perhaps between $1.40 to about $2 or under $2? Sweet spot for me would be about $1.80, $1.70, but it's already been there on a technical level. But what can send us there, nobody knows. But the SUI TVL is being going through absolute insanity, especially when you consider the amount of stable coins that are now in its market cap. So 800 million is an absolute record for SUI. Now, chain fees are about 20 million. Of course, they've got app revenue fees. And within that, you can see what has the grown or the highest TVLs with the highest fees. And these are the projects. So you have, for example, SUI Len Protocol. You have Naviv Protocol. These two lending protocols here contributing to a very high number of the fees. And then look at, CETAS there in number, third, bringing the over 100 million in TVL. And then you've got Scallop. Scallop is very irrational in terms of both of these two. I think these are fantastic buys, around under $10 million for Scallop, and Bluefin is under, it's just at $12 million right now. But that was actually a very big launch. Bluefin team came from Arbitrum. They've actually built the DEX on Arbitrum. So it's like a perpetual DEX, and, it's got fantastic features. It's sort of, if you like, a hyper liquid on the SUI blockchain. But Scallop, I mean, for under $10 million, 116 million in TVL. I think that's very impressive. There's two chains that I'm farming, like literally for the next part of this run. And that is no secret to many of you. It's Base and it's SUI. And of course, Base and SUI will give us a lot of good micro caps to buy and do really well with it. In terms of the older projects, I have no issue with just sitting tight right now. The point of reflection has gone. They're in the depths of the, their charts. Every chart looks absolutely horrific, horrible. But we've done really well out of Altcoin. There was a massive volume, sell volume in the last 48 hours. but potentially the lowest probably you can pick up Altcoin is around that 50 cents to 70 cents where it was sitting the last time before I came live. But do not ignore, this is going to make you money, guys, right? This is the sweet ecosystem will make you a ton of money. I think, you know, as a layer one, that game is rigged. Okay. So yeah, man, BMX on base is fantastic. Yes, I do agree with you. I did put out a buy alert, and the only thing is the liquidity, Alan, is incredibly low. It's almost like the equivalent to Bluefin in a way. Let's have a look. BMX right now. Just know this: BMX is only on, I believe, you could only buy it on Aerodrome, and this thing was over $14. Now, the chart just looks absolutely incredible, right? Volume, look, I can tell you right now, 24-hour trading volume of 8K. This is buying the blood, man. This is the depths of the, you know, but look at the tokenomics, you know, 2 million, but very risky. You know, very, very risky. And it's a $4 million market cap, 5 million fully diluted. It is another kind of like, you know, a DEX. So built on the base chain, I do believe the number of holders here are still, yeah, Coinbase Ventures invested. Yep, absolutely. I mean, look, when they did invest in Aerodrome, it was kind of like, it's almost like, you know, taking that velodrome and putting the money in. And of course, Aerodrome went on to do what it did. But you just have to, at this moment in time, you know, looking at micro caps like this is very, very important, guys. You know, the good amount of investment has gone in, so it is now deployed on base, mode, and Sonic as well. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's a decent project. I always just, you know, just check the liquidity, of course, understand that it is a micro cap, but from a risk to reward perspective, I think it's solid. Let's have a look at another one of these. Now, this is another one, and this one, it's called, again, microcap 2 million. This is called BSX. Again, very low liquidity. What is the 24-hour trading volume here? $63,000. This is also another DEX on base. Now, you have to be careful. There's also alien base. There's too many, you know, too many DEXs. So you have to understand exactly what you're buying. But there's also a, you know, state governed LEN trade, you know, so BSX is another one. I think that took a base. I think who was behind this one? I think it might have been Arthur Hayes. Yeah, it might have been Arthur Hayes. So that's another good one as a micro cap. But again, very, very risky. Let's see what we did on Lofi. Lofi's been incredible. It has a beautiful pullback. And look at that. I mean, a week ago, this was like, you know, 80% of a penny. Now, I think Lofi is going to print for us, guys. The founder is possibly one of the best guys that I can think of in crypto. And it is a shame that it is right now, it went from a $8 million market cap to $23 million in market cap. So that's this is a, you know, it's a project that's been running. And if you look at this market cap low, I mean, look, last week this was at 7.9 million. So yeah, it's it has run a little bit, but if you think it's going to go to $1 billion, which it should do, as and when it runs, because they've got a charity fund, you know, they've got a very solid partnership with F. Jerry. They have a charitable arm. Like I said, the founder is very active, and they're very close to Mr. Labs. And Hassan said Sui AI. Let's have a look at Sui AI, because that one, I had an airdrop. I didn't actually even know I had it. Sui AI. There's going to be, again, the chart, the market cap at 2 million fully diluted. Again, trading volume, a lot of these are on either Cetus or Turbos Finance, if you look at their markets. But this one's obviously listed now in MEXC. Actually, it debuted on MEXC as well. So, yeah, it's, again, these projects should really, really run hard on Sui. They should, because the technology is the best in crypto. In terms of the speed and finality, I haven't seen anything like it, to be honest. They just have that premium look and feel. And you can see big money's waiting in the sidelines to eventually pump the hell out of this. There was a development on DeepBook. So Sui themselves tweeted about this. And Deep is now upgraded. My biggest issue here has always been the tokenomics. 2.5 billion circulating out of 10 billion. So you got to do some research into the tokenomics. But today they did announce a pretty big upgrade on their network. So it's called the DeepBook 3.1, and they now have permissionless pools, lower fees, and deeper liquidity. Now, the good thing was, Sui obviously retweeted it and posted about it. So, yeah, make sure, guys, you farm the Sui network. I kid you not, farm Sui, farm base, and then you can chill. Then you obviously got a big layer one, a good AI project, and yeah, man. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to make a comeback tonight. There is a 59 of us in this live stream. Big up Hassan, big up Patriot, Alan Cole, Jake. Who else is here, man? You've got the rest of the gang here as well. Big up to Steve. Big up to Ram in India. Gonzo, my brother. Things will be back. Don't worry. Listen to some Eminem and we'll be good, man. I think the next leg up will help us all of us to make unbelievable amounts of money, especially considering all these things we're looking at. Big up Kingsley. Who else is in the building? Yeah, I think that's it, man. Oh, big up the Hammer. MC Hammer, my brother. Hope you're well. Back from Spain. How was it, bro? Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool live stream. I think we talked about Tao. We talked about the situation with the Fed. We talked about the replacement potential candidate for what do you call Jerome Powell. So yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff like that. We talked about Sui Base, really, which we should be absolutely farming without a shadow of a doubt. A lot of these projects now are locked up with $2 million market caps. So the ability for us now, because we've focused on quality projects and non-scam projects, guys, everybody should have at least four projects, 4 coins that they come back for in any bear market. Your list could be Sui, could be Tao, whatever you feel like you've missed that is going to be generational. If anything that this cycle has taught us is that disregard the old projects. Even, I've posted an alert recently for Algorand. Why is no one talking about Algorand? Algorand are, doing crazy things. And this morning as well, I did one of the one of the best AMAs I think I've done in this channel. We had Abdul from TeakPay, and I'm going to show you something, guys. So if you just visit teakpay.com on your mobile phone, have a look at that. Because basically what you can do is, so they've got XRP Ledger, so they're building on XRP, and of course they have WhatsApp on these micro payments, and this is going to be very important. I think Abdul was in Bangkok this morning when I interviewed him. A lot of the developing countries will find something like this pretty useful. Thank you for that, Steve. Steve said smash the like, guys, so you should. There's rumors that Reploy token, oh, really? Be careful. Absolutely. Yeah, be careful. I mean, Becca's in it. Crypto God John is in it. A few other big people are in there. So, yeah, be absolutely careful, guys. And big up to Imbelta, my sister. How are you? I hope the family is well. Great to have a live stream finally. You know what? Lately, it's just been like I did actually, to be fair, in the last kind of week, I did put out a lot of decent, well-researched content, which is really important. Oh, my days. My brother Pete in the building. Guys, just smash a like for Pete. So, Pete, if you don't mind, I'll tell the quick story of our success in the Discord. So, everybody was feeling the pinch, right? So I'm kind of like doing, of course, altcoin research or whatever. And Pete and the guys, Muzzy and the rest of the crew, they're in the chart section. So I'm passing through one day and I'm like, let me see what the guys are doing. And I tell you what, I've never made so much money on leverage with a shit coin like Fartcoin than any other coin ever. So this recent retracement here, guys, honestly, if you're not in our Discord, this is incredible stuff, man. So that's the market cap. But if you look at price, we traded our way out of depression, and partly to do with Pete and the team, the rest of the team, which is incredible. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all you do, because this old fart here got us out of all the depression. I forgot about all of the coins that were down. I would just occasionally take a look. Crazy predictions, crazy charts. I'm like, Fartcoin, let's do it. So even now, as we have this pullback, I'm just waiting for the Discord to go, boom, guys, we're going to take a big fart again. And ultimately, this will absolutely be, this has been the strongest move on leverage that I've actually ever seen. So big up to Pete and the rest of the guys. But yeah, thank you so much, Pete, because I think you've made such a massive difference to all our lives in the Discord, man. Because prior to that, man, I used to have another brother in there as well who, for some reason said he wanted to do charts, and that brother's gone. So yeah, Pete, man, this is upgraded situation. Honestly, guys, check it out, because it is, it is such an amazing people to be part of and to work with every day. Even though sometimes I don't say much on the charts, I just take a look at the charts because the guys are doing their thing. Oh, Mahindra, how are you, brother? Hope you're well. Big up from South Africa. Smash the like for the team. Definitely, bro. Good to see you. Pete goes, yeah. Good old Fartcoin, man. That was. We should, just create the new leverage channel called DXB Fart Channel or something. Overall, we guess, yeah, everyone's well. Thank you, Imbelta, for the best of the best. I think you're there. Pete is there. There's too many people to mention in there, but it doesn't feel like, the good thing about our community is we don't actually feel like it really kind of belongs to anyone in particular. Like, we are all like-minded. I think sometimes we could always do things but differently. But I think if you're with the right people, it's always a good idea to have close comrades in this rice baby. Oh, Hassan, I'm coming over to that, bro. Is it okay to round trip all your gains in your first cycle? Absolutely, it's okay. It happens all the time. It happened to us on many occasions. Last cycle, I round tripped a very good bag of Hedera H graph or H bar. I had built up a fantastic million tokens. I thought it was going to go to $1. The whole entire market did, and in the end, I sold at these 60% of it at around. I'll never forget. It was like 30 something cents, and then held the other 500K. Held it for another 2 years, and then finally lost patience with it. And guess what? HBAR then announced the biggest RWA news. So I sold it for 4.5 cents after holding it for well over 2 years, only to sell it before a major announcement. So you're not alone on that at all. And I would say round trip if the cycle is over, but we haven't had a kind of genuine sustained across the board alt season based on what you're holding. So blue still, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. But what I would say is take some time now to rebuild and put the energy into areas where you think growth is going to come from, and strategically calculate what you hold. And of course, if you're holding a bunch of shit coins with no chart activity, no liquidity, no volume, then get out and just rebuild. Yeah, Real Madrid fans, I haven't seen anyone. And by the way, I watched the games, both games in my local. Now, I'm probably the only guy. I was the only guy from the UK, even though I've been here now for 16 years actually, in this local, and no Arsenal fans. And honestly, the whole place was Real Madrid. If you've been to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, there are two teams that everyone supports. It's either Barcelona or Real Madrid. So, yeah, man. Big up, Chris. How are you, brother? Hope you're well. And guys, anyone celebrating Easter, wishing you a very good, happy Easter. Mr. Lewis, how are you, brother? Straight with the gems. I've actually got, believe it or not, I was reading it the other day. I've got a Cordell Lewis list of gems. Let's have a look. What's this called? Paraverse. This is where we brainstorm. It's actually a lot. I love the ticker. Para. A lot of people are paranoid right now, but this is possibly not the one. PV. Yeah, I do. It's not. It can't be the one. This is a straight PVS. Let's have a look at this. $7 million market cap, very good trading volume, and built on Solana, and it originated from Pump.Fun. PVS. So basically, what this is like a Paraverse. Anybody behind this? Of course, they've got. Yeah, it is. It is kind of like, it's funny because it's one of these projects that could do well. High risk, high reward. Is the team doxed? I would love to know that, because they are actually claiming to be a company. Let's have a look and see if they've got anybody who's doxed. Because I'm absolutely afraid. Because this time, they are a company with a physical address. But of course, it's probably worth doing further research. But Cordell, man, you've got such an amazing track record. You are the unofficial DXB family gem caller. So yeah, big up yourself, bro. I will just watch this one. ZF has been my biggest disappointment. Don't be so disappointed, because ZF was always a micro cap, and the dynamics of a micro cap are they can go 98% or whatever one way. But I wouldn't be too disappointed. I think this is a place to bid. 900K market cap, 968K. The only good thing that keeps me with a slight chance of maybe this doing well, it shows you they've built one of the best dexes, with the kind of like the way you earn liquidity, the way you provide liquidity, the speed, the transaction fees. There's nothing really wrong with the DEX at all, but I don't think ZK Sync era was ever going to be a narrative, and that kind of caught everyone out. Now, if they work well with Monad, okay, so they're doing the test net right now with Monad. So I have a lot of high hopes for Monad to do well. And but let's see what portion of that business they can attract. That's why sometimes it's very tricky in buying individual DEXs. Honestly, I talk about CETAs and things like that because they are going to be, even if you bought CETAs at $100 million market cap compared to the layer one and where it's going to go, it's undervalued, right? That's the thinking. But in this particular case, if Monad kind of brings some heat and they become their favorite DEX, then you never know. But if Monad do build their own DEX, I think that would be curtains for sure. We've done amazingly well. We've done an hour. Is Cordell in our Discord, guys? We need to get Cordell in there, man. I've been telling him for, special access for you, brother. So, yeah, let the caveman know. Caveman can work that deal. But anyway, guys, it's been an amazing stream. I want to wish you all a happy, happy Easter. And for those of you who don't celebrate it, just be happy for those that do. We will finish the show where we started. And, Slim Shady, aka Slim Trump, is going to deliver for us. It's going to be unbelievable. M2 money supply, guys, is absolutely skyrocketed to levels not seen ever. Right? And I did kind of like, there's a messy chart. You may not see it very clearly, but Bitcoin is right here. Right? Let me just scribble. This is where Bitcoin is. And this is what M2 is doing, right? So you can see here, when I made that video in May, there's that little dip there. And then it goes on to the end of May and it corrects. Now, if BTC follows, look, if you look at this, historically, BTC has always followed. Look at this. It's so uncanny, it's unbelievable. Bitcoin price, after the M2 money supply drops. I mean, think about it. This is, May last year, you have peaks here in March with the M2. What did Bitcoin do? It topped and it topped, right? Now, it's not always exact science, but this one is also very, very interesting. This one here. This is probably the most kind of like obvious one here. This is Bitcoin making a double top here, right? But look at the dates. Look when M2 money topped over here, right? M2 money supply topped ran about the time after the Trump election. And then we had that massive, massive correction. So what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin also had that correction. You can see here, if this is Bitcoin, M2 preceded that. All we had to do is just follow this chart, and it would have had some kind of a signal to conflate, you know, to give you an additional edge. And when you do it like this, you see it even more. You see it even more, guys. It's unbelievable. So that's why, if you look forward, like if you look into the future here, you just see like very, very clearly how the bull market is not over by any stretch of the imagination. You know, like if you go here, you could clearly see periods where it drops. You could clearly see that the two things literally mirror each other. And if we're going by that thesis, well, look where M2 money supply is, right? Look where M2 money is. Bitcoin's over here, and M2 is all the way out there. So we can actually see that potentially with some pivot, some, I don't know, some macro change or whatever, it is always going to be, this will be an unbelievable cycle. There's so much fiat being printed globally. If you see the Chinese M2, the US M2, it's all the same picture, guys. Okay. Here's the US M2. Here's the global M2. And look at this. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely so clear to me that we will get a pump, and it's just always going to be a matter of patience. Don't look what happened yesterday even. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow can make a difference to you and your family just by being, psychologically strong and understanding that it's not you alone that's suffering on the basis of losing some money. It takes over our health. It takes over our families. There was a great quote today from Abdul, from TeakPay. Abdul said something amazing. He was like, look, we doubt ourselves all the time. We doubt ourselves all the time, and I think it's more, ladies tend to handle it better than men. Men tend to suffer in silence because we tend to be, I don't know, we tend to bottle in that emotion. And I've had times or periods of times when I thought I wasn't doing well. And as a result, I fell into something as escape, I don't know, like I kind of distanced myself. And other times where I've been successful as well, and I repeated that same formula that got me successful, and along the way neglected relationships. So it's always like you gain something in life, but you miss something. Your kids are growing, but you're spending all day on the charts, or you don't have a relationship with your parents, or some people don't have relationship with their spouse. What makes us even more vulnerable is for those of you who are married or with partners. Sometimes it's difficult to look at them and say, look, man, my chart is 90% down. They'll be like, what the F are you doing? But it's those same dark days that will ultimately pay off. And I think sometimes we forget the human aspect of all of this suffering. We sit here, we are active, but yet it hasn't happened for us. Why? It's not because of you. It's these particular charts. I in the last cycle, I was not thinking about 99% of what I'm actually thinking about now. Last cycle was pretty easy to, and the one before, like hey, you knew what was being hyped, you know. But this time round, I think Trump and all of these things that are happening, you know, Republicans have always had historically very, very strong economy. That's their forte, right? And that's what's under threat right now. So, hey, send us to Valhalla and then hand us over to whoever, right? But I think we must stay calm. We must make some good money. Not, you know, we must be not too naive, because you need money to make more money, right? So 2 cycles could actually mean generational wealth, relatively, whatever that means to you, whether it's paying off your mortgage or whether it's actually coming back in the bear market where you could actually pick up a Bittensor Tau for $20 or $10 or Sui for 40 cents or 10 cents or Render for like 35 cents or whatever. We know the template now, right? If a bunch of people are telling you to always buy the microcaps are the dessert, not the main course. The main course is having a very good safety net, a core 10x here, and then you start moving down the risk curve. But all I can say is the globe is printing. The Fed chairman is potentially going to be replaced. US M2 all-time high, Chinese M2 all-time high. Bitcoin versus M2, well, it's lagging it, but it is going to head to where M2 is, right? So if we change this line into let's make this a red line. Let's make it a little bit thicker so you can actually see. You are practically here and M2 is all the way there. There's your chart and there's your M2, right? So ultimately, guys, it's a game of patience. Nobody has a crystal ball. You know, again, USDT dominance chart is inversely, obviously, correlated to Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance, we've had that drawn out for a very long time. And you can see here, it is, you know, it's still rampant. It's still quite rampant. So that's the state of Bitcoin dominance. And always look at for the, with any chart you're analyzing, just try to look at the, weekly charts occasionally. Don't get used to this constant daily up or down unless you're trading Fartcoin. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance looking incredible. But the good thing is it might be on the 2-day, if you look at this, it's actually starting to lose steam. Okay. So could we see Bitcoin dominance crashing down? It looks like it's not, it's not running as hard as it was. Total 3. We came within a whisker of this target buy zone for alts. All right. That was around $649 billion. And the wick came down to 669. So that's alts have now kind of reclaimed an important level. They just need to continue from there. Let's have a look at the total. What else can we look at charts wise? Total market cap of crypto. Yep, this was the danger zone, and it kind of went back into this green box. And of course, there's a few other charts in there as well. US 10-year. This one was quite interesting, actually. We look at that. So the idea was that this moves down over time, and we still need to, the fall in yield is going to be quite an interesting chart. But if you look at this, it could well be, this is why the system, there's going to be kind of liquidity into the system around this level. And we may get there till the summer. So that's the 10-year US yield. fall into potential target of 3.5%. So that's something else we need to consider. But anyway, so that is that, and my big up to bro. Yes, reserve rights, ORCI, Torque, AXL, and SBTS on Sol. Solid list. I did actually like you and I spoke about reserve rights, and it is up to date. And I do like the way you describe the fundamentals. Perhaps we probably need to jump on a live together, so you can actually talk about what you told me. I mean, $400 million market cap. It is a $35 million volume. So yeah, bro, maybe we can at some point I can have you on and we can talk about just some of the stuff that you told me, because I think everyone would probably like to hear that. Yo, Rafa, what's going on, brother? Hope you're well. Big up from the Big Apple itself. God bless you all. Yeah, DXB community is fighting, man. Bunch of fighters. Thank you so much, bro. Much appreciated. Happy Easter to you. And yeah, no clickbaits, unless it's Trump. Yeah, big up yourself, man. Yeah, Cordell, man. I think you'll find my email in the channel description. I can even just it's in the channel description. Just grab that, bro. Drop me a message on there. Yeah, it is the hardest thing to keep, bro. It is absolutely the hardest thing to keep. And Belter, yeah, words of encouragement. Stay strong. I think we've actually passed the level of strength required to hold our nerves in one cycle. It is, balance in the hardest thing, is to balance. And I think we've now, obviously, all of us are now made of, some kind of alien material that you can only find on the surface of Venus. We're pressure cooked now. So anything that comes from here onwards, I think that one of the biggest regrets is when everybody's portfolio was ballooning in, on Christmas Day, first week of January. That was the golden window. But these will come, they will come bigger and harder. And this time we have millions of charts to look at that are all at the bottom. How high do you see Sui going this cycle? Try to tip you, but do not see an option. Much appreciated, VHS. So yeah, no, thank you. I don't even know how to. I've been running this channel for years now, but I don't actually know how to set up those donations. But Sui, my initial target was $20. Okay. Cave seems to think at around about the same time that it would potentially go to 30. But I would say, based on the current market cap and based on our entry, because I do have a Sui entry chart that I think we entered around on average 72 cents, and some people slightly higher, and some people slightly lower. Let's see, Sui. Yeah, so we entered around here at $72. So from $7 to about $15 is a very good, $7 would be a 10x, $7.2. But Sui could potentially go, I wouldn't really like, because there's going to be levels, right? So if you wait for the higher levels, you risk, you're just not going to sleep well. So I would say this is probably where I would consider that would be my ceiling at the very top, because from here to there, it's crazy. You can't sleep at night. But what I would say a sweet spot could be anything between kind of $7 yeah, probably say $7 to $15. You could comfortably DCA out. And listen, look, if it goes to $30 and, so be it, maybe leave a moon bag. But never again are we going to leave money on the table. Because again, there's another psychology where the higher levels, the higher you go, the less oxygen there is. The higher you go, the less likely you are to just find your perfect price. Now, if it shoots through all of these levels and you've sold, then great. You've taken a 10x. That's what I would aim for maximum. So probably at $7.20, I would remove maybe 50 to 60%, and then maybe scale out the rest slowly. Same with Casper. What's my thoughts on Turbo? The how-to. Thanks for the question there. Turbo had its time, okay? Now, it's very difficult to look at a so Turbo is unique in the sense that I was actually watching the live stream when it was first made. It was kind of the first of its kind. Totally, the creator was is one of the best guys I've seen in crypto. This is, unfortunately, this is the chart. So just to keep it simple on Turbo, you've got to start to move above that. It's as simple as that. And if we look at the weekly, it will be even more obvious. So massive downtrend. It is recovering, but there's a long way to go. And that is a confirmation. You need a confirmation to get above this level here, I think, for Turbo to move. Now, the story of Turbo, which is probably why somebody would buy a meme coin, most of the meme coins are relatable. So you have Pepe, this cycle's first mover of the ERC20 meme coins. Then you had Turbo. Turbo came out of ChatGPT. The creator was absolutely incredible. The guy broke down, when he realized what he created. It was the wave of ChatGPT, and arguably it's been game of two halves, right? So the ideal time to buy Turbo was those first months in kind of 2023. It kind of came up June 24. This chart doesn't go back long enough, but this was 2023. Early 23. So when it came out, it had this massive, massive pump. And then look how crazy this is. Sometimes if you sit back and just look at these simple things here, you had this, and then you had this. Right? Boom. So it is so, sometimes it's way too easy, but as it's developing, it's harder to see it than when it actually obviously post-mortem. So what you had there is, and then of course, another way you could look at that is saying to yourself, look, could it be in head and shoulders? Because you can see clearly there, you got a head there, you got two shoulders. So look, come back to this level. I think Turbo does well again. But I would rather say if you buy in a meme coin, if you're stuck with it, just keep watching it. If you are looking for a meme coin, then go and farm Base or Sui. All right. So yeah, that's Turbo. And then I'll just do a couple of more. We got the Big Apple and the Big East in the house. Yo, that sounds like Keenan and Kel, bro. Guys, don't forget to smash the like, because it's important for us. I hope you are. What's up? Cordell said serve still. A goodbye. like BKN, Rio, GFI. Yeah, so wealth is an interesting one, bro. And I think Serve is still. Look, RWA. I did a video this week of RWA, but mostly focused on slightly larger caps, where with a particular interest in the likes of Plume and Kita on base. But yeah, these are still relative. I wouldn't buy some of these. Like, for example, I do like GFI and Clearpool. Clearpool is an interesting one, to me, because last time round they marketed the hell out of it. So yeah, we'll definitely take a look at the rest of that list, bro. What is up, Mary? From 23 to 25, I only bought Bitcoin. My wallet was, but now Altcoins is not good. I think it's healthy. Wallet 60% Bitcoin. I think you make a valid point, but it is like, imagine us now, right? The way I would put that to you is, imagine us in 5 years, right? Because sometimes it's easy to look at the hindsight, with hindsight. I still believe for most of us to make significant money, especially for a lot of people in their first cycle, they have no option but to go for it. And I think people have seen the pumps. Like, for example, you got a turbo chart here, but if you rode this chart from here, from here to, you're lucky enough to catch this move. That's it. If you had $10,000 in this coin and you made a move like that's more, I guess that's more of the angle for people with small amounts of money. But, considering as well, if you're a whale and you're just completely degening, then that's a different discussion. 2 years experience that everybody should have bought. Yeah, we should have. And I think those that come after us in the year 2030 would say everybody should have bought Bitcoin at $1 million. It is honestly that type of thing. So yeah. I gotta love you and leave you because it's that time of the night, but I will definitely check Serve and I will definitely do another show. You're most welcome. You were most welcome. We're glad to have you. VHS Verdict. I love the name, by the way. VHS cassettes. So yeah, brilliant, guys. So I'll do another live stream hopefully this week, and Nat, I'll promise you that I will look at Nilion and my network. Actually, you know what? Let me do it now. I don't want to have any homeworks. Let's have a look at Serve first. Serve is on DEX. Nilion. Ticker is nice. Short. Low float, high FDV, and it's built on, this is a layer 1, I believe. Let's have a look at this. Humanity's first blind computer. So it has, I've heard of it, but I've never really looked into it. I think the only thing I would do here is really study the tokenomics. Apart from that, it looks like a decent website. Some really big claims, and let me see, exchanges wise. So guys, whenever you see a very well done website with, they've got their deployment kit and developer tools are just the first thing that you see. Still in testnet, I believe, because there's a faucet. It is a layer 1. So tick. Just maybe look into the tokenomics a bit more. Yeah. So anyway, guys, God bless you. It is it's 1 o'clock here. Holy crap, time just flew. So it's 1 o'clock, guys, and I'm gonna love you and leave you, but let's do another one. And God bless you all and enjoy yourselves. Take care, guys.